Good morning, everyone. Hello, hello. I am the disembodied head in the bottom right. I'm Edalist speaking, the community manager for Rivals of Aether, and I guess Rivals 2 now. We have a new game coming out, if you haven't heard. We're joined today by Dan in the top right, creator of the game, studio lead, all things Aether. We have Matt right below Dan, who's our lead producer. Oh, sorry. Matt is actually on the very bottom. It's different on my screen. And then Trevor Youngblood is in the middle, our lead programmer. And right next to me is Diego, our lead animator. So
Hello.
we have a range of people available to answer some questions today. We're going to jump in through Dan's recap article and just talk about like what we have coming up this year, what's on our minds after the Kickstarter, all this stuff, and then yeah, we'll take questions.
Yeah. So yes, welcome everyone. This Q&A stream was from our Kickstarter. So one of the extra additional stretch goals we had was we'll be answering some questions today. I know we got a lot of people are curious about Rivals 2 obviously, but just about Ether Studios in general. So feel free to ask anything about any project you want, anything that excites you. And then also I did end up posting developer recap, which is an article series that I had done every year for a couple years, but we did not do at the start of 2023. And then we ended up, so basically took a year off, and then I did one again for this year. And this year kind of going into a little bit more information on like kind of the financials of Ether Studios and also Kickstarter and stuff like that. So we'll just quickly go through the sections just so everyone is caught up kind of on where we're at. And then, we'll do some questions for everyone in the team here.
Yeah, do you mind if
So,
I jump in just to say, can you guys kind of hold the questions a little bit for this part? Or if no one wants to do this part, we could go right to questions. Everyone's asking questions, but yeah, we have a bunch of questions from the Discord already too. So just don't drop them now because we'll just miss them. Just we'll ask for questions in a little while.
yeah, I think we'll go run through this, then we'll do some Discord questions, and then we'll do open questions.
Live questions, yeah. Okay.
So if you have questions, just type it, bring it back when we do live questions, kind of at the end. But you can think of your questions here. So we're gonna go quickly through it because you can read the article yourself. It's on Medium. We can probably put a link to it in the chat. We also posted it to the Ether Studios Twitter account. But the first section was about Rivals Direct 5, which happened back in April. If you did not watch that, then check it out on YouTube. You can see George playing through it. We kind of talked about how the Rivals Directs are, crazy. So part of our goal in the last year was just partnering with other studios to, make it a cool show, but not as demanding on our own team to pull it off. And then the next section for last year that we recapped was the RCS, which we had. Oh, sorry, no, it wasn't. It was Dungeons first. Next section was Dungeons. So Dungeons of Aether obviously launched in 2023. Super awesome for us because that was our first real like single player game. Obviously Lovers of Aether was our first actual single player game, but that was for free, and that was a bit of a joke. This was our first like kind of game that has a lot of story as part of the Rivals world. So it came out in Steam back in February, then it came out on Switch in April, and then we also even brought it to mobile at the end of the year in November. So if you haven't played Dungeons of Aether, there's 4 platforms you can play it on. You can play it on Steam, Switch, iOS, or Android. So definitely check that out. Fleet, as you know, is coming to Rivals 2. And this story is part of the world, right? So all the characters, all the NPCs in Dungeons are, part of the Rivals world.
We get a lot of Q&A questions about will more of these Dungeons characters be joining Rivals 2?
It's up to you.
It's up to who?
Fans.
Is it?
Well, if the game does well, more characters we get to put in. Tell your friends. Tell your friends. Get everyone you know to play Dungeons, because the more success the game has, the more characters we can do every year, the faster we put characters in the game.
I mean, it is up to the fans if you consider Mafu and Diego are like fans of the game. Then yeah. Then
Just
they
some
can
of
make the
our
models and all the
character
animations.
artists and animators.
But I still think it, has to be part of our pipeline.
Last thing on Dungeons, being the producer of the project, I had to do a lot of playtesting for the game. Mobile to me is easily the best way to play the game. It's just, you know, you can do little quick sessions and get through a couple fights. You don't have to do a whole dungeon saves very frequently after every fight. So easily my favorite way to play the game. So if you were thinking about picking it up, highly recommend mobile. Get lost for 10 minutes, 30 minutes at a time, and it's pretty fun. So check it out.
Yes, we were also the app of the day sometime in December. I missed it. Did not get a screenshot of it, unfortunately, but thanks Apple for featuring us back then. So yeah, definitely check out Dungeons on Mobile.
If you're watching, Apple, just want to say thank you.
Yeah, thanks Apple. Mr. Apple, I think, or I think maybe Mrs. Apple's the CEO. I forget who's the CEO now, but thank you for that. That was really kind. All right, and then RCS Season 8. Quick recap of this one. So usually we highlight kind of the competitive season and where it's at. So this year, pretty exciting in that this is our last year of like RCS, as in like the points series that goes into, adding up between all of our official events. So it's not the end of Rivals 1 competitive or anything like that. We're definitely still going to have, big events. We're definitely going to be partnering with some of the partners we have in the past. Even after Rivals 2 comes out, if we're officially there, we plan to run, Rivals brackets. But in terms of like having the point series that feed into the finals for, like, right now we have 2 regions, NA and EU. This is the last year, and it is feeding into the North American finals, which is next month at Genesis. And then the European finals are going to take place online in February as well. So yeah, it kind of just recaps how the competition was. I would say one of the most exciting things in North America was definitely Kusi's ascent to start pushing Cake Assault a lot. I think in 2022 we saw Cake just be completely dominant. Going into the finals. I think this year there's a lot of players who have a shot at Genesis, but yeah, I think North America is super exciting. And then in Europe, we did see Fire Icy just continue their dominance as well. Now that the game is 2015, 9 years old, almost. We're starting to see that the meta has kind of settled in, and we've seen some good runs. So both Cake and Fire Icy have really cemented themselves as, I think 2 of the top players in the entire game, but especially now over the last couple of years. So yeah, if you like competitive Rivals, make sure you are tuning in to Genesis next month, because there will be a lot of Rivals of Aether. There'll be Rivals Workshop, there'll be doubles, there will be
Rivals 2?
Rivals 2 as well.
Yeah, so that's our North American finals is Genesis, and then this year we're doing something fun for EU too, where it's multiple days. So there's like 2 days of events streamed by Redeck and all the amazing like volunteers in EU that are making it happen. And there's actually a pretty large prize pool this year. We had through the compendium, I think we raised $2,800 for singles, and then an extra little bit for workshop and doubles as well. So yeah, we just posted about the EU finals too yesterday, but you can find that also on Twitter and stuff.
Woo.
Next section.
Yeah.
Oh, Rivals 2. There it is. This little thing we've been working on.
Boom. So yeah, the next section goes into kind of Rivals 2 and where we're at. I think the biggest thing to kind of summarize where the article goes is like, yeah, we are definitely ambitious in what we're building with Rivals 2. And we've known that from the beginning. Um, and now we're just making sure we can, it's the saying, you bit off more than you can chew. We're making sure that, what we did bite off, we're able to deliver that. So we've definitely, uh, you know, s- made double down in a lot of areas that we think are really important, right? I think the multiplayer is, going to be our one of our biggest selling points. And that's something that Trevor and the rest of the team have been focused on for, since the beginning, but especially now that we've migrated from, a peer to peer to a server base. We've been going through that and testing that. So kind of going over that. And then also just getting people to see more and more of the game in 2023 was the most exciting part for me and for us. So we had the Crag trailer last year at Genesis, um, which revealed our, everyone's favorite heavyweight returning. We had Fleet in Rivals Direct 5 at the end of that. And then we also had Maple at Evo, which was my personal favorite reveal, even though my microphone didn't work when they put me on stage. Even with that, I think just the trailer we did, working with Kiki Flipnote on the intro,
Yeah, that was
was
great.
super fun trailer. I also just love how Maple looks and plays. That's why I play her in Rivals 2. So that was really fun. And then going into the fall, we actually started. That was kind of when we got people to finally get to play the game. So we had the game at PAX. So the public got their first taste at it. We brought the game to Heatwave, and we did a little kind of smaller tournament that you had to get in either by winning or through like a raffle. And then to end the year, we opened the doors even more because we were looking for additional funds on how to, kind of get this game out the door. And we decided to go in for crowdfunding. So that gets the article to Kickstarter. Woo!
Let me pause this YouTube video. There we go.
So that was November, which feels like both a really long time ago and obviously not that long ago, a couple months back now. So this kind of just goes through why we decided to opt for Kickstarter, as well as we partnered with Off-Brand on it. So in the article, you can see kind of how that relationship was formed and how some of the events that we had, so both the Ludwig stream when it launched and then also being part of the match on the last day, were both really timely for us. We also not only partnered with Off-Brand, but also, had a build that we sent to a lot of creators just to get, the word out and get excitement out. So you might have saw a lot of your favorite streamers checking out the game. We did that with a build that we had, and then obviously, if you guys got a chance to back Kickstarter, yeah, did great. Like we say in the article, we weren't really sure about Kickstarter because it had been the heyday of Kickstarter was probably like 10 years ago, but we ended up raising over $1 million, which is massive, going to help us uh, keep our team going through launch. And then yeah, and we also have, I guess, on here too, talking about kind of some of the goals, the dates, right? So the article mentioned that some of the rewards were going out the week that we posted the article, which if you did back it, you should all have gotten emails with your early bird maple or early to bed maple, and your wallpapers and things like that. I think the next big one that's coming up is Genesis. Is not necessarily part of a reward, but it was a stretch goal. So having the tournament, Rivals 2 tournament at Genesis, is our next big Kickstarter beat. And then after that, it's going to be Q2. So that's the spring, and that's when we're going to start doing betas for the backers. So those will be, the goal of those is testing the online, right? So we're planning to probably do weekends right now is our plan. at first, and then what we'll do is we'll have the game up for a little bit, get as much feedback as we can, and then around a month later we'll come out with another test and kind of just keep doing that until we get more and more testing and more feedback. So we don't have the exact date on when the first one's going to be, but the plan is sometime during Q2, which is March, April, May, right?
Yeah, it is helpful to say too, because a lot of people were like, "What the heck's a Q?" when we posted that sometimes. But yeah,
Yeah, the
it's just
quarter break
breaking
the
year
years
into quarters. Yeah.
3 months, or maybe it's April, May, June. I forget, but
Okay,
it's
so January,
spring,
February, March,
springtime.
April, May, June. I think that's Q2 is April, May, June. I think.
Yeah. And then we're also going to continue beta test going into the summer as well. So that's exciting.
Yeah, this kind of crosses into like a question territory. People in chat are saying, no, it starts in March. Yes. And we have an extra month, everyone. We have an extra month. But people are asking, yes. So we're gonna start with just like the backers, right? And it's gonna slowly like widen the people that are allowed to play in these closed betas. I think right now we're thinking that European backers that have the tier can participate. Dan, right? That's what we've been saying, but we might not necessarily have servers in Q2 up for them.
Yeah. We're gonna see where the server's located. So yeah, the big changes at Rivals 2 is moving to server based. So yeah, technically you can play from wherever you want, but your connection is going to be to whatever servers are available. We did mention back when the Kickstarter started that we were just focusing on NA for like kind of the first beta test. We're not sure. We might, just because that's where we're gonna get a lot of players, but we might be able to spin up some servers as well. We're also going to be learning kind of what our needs are going to be for the Kickstarter too. So obviously in the first test there might be some bugs with just servers being full and people having to wait in queues and things like that. So yeah, I think in the first one we're going to try to get as many regions as we can. But the only one we've kind of guaranteed is North America. But I would like to run some European servers as well, and then also kind of see where people are trying to connect from. If we're getting a lot of requests and a lot of asks, even in the Kickstarter beta for certain regions that we didn't anticipate, whether that's South America or some of the Pacific regions, then yeah, we'll do work. Right now we're using PlayFab for the backend, and we're also been using PlayFab for their gameplay servers. So we'd be beholden to kind of the regions that they offer when it comes to gameplay servers.
Cool. Moving into 2024.
Let's do it.
Okay, story mode
cool.
update.
Yeah, so the big one here is in the Kickstarter, we revealed that we've been working on a story mode, definitely an ambitious one, inspired by Subspace Emissary. If you caught the Medium article the day it came out, it said Subspace Embassy, which I don't know. That would have been a great game mode as well, I swear. But yeah, this mode basically is designed to be kind of like the game itself. We mentioned doing a lot of course corrections from Rivals 1 when it comes to like areas that we couldn't really felt like we could grow. So the online being able to support crossplay for when we when we do eventually come to console is the goal. The single player here is also kind of course correcting from some of the feedback that we got through the years on Rivals 1, right? Of just wanting kind of like a deeper, fuller, kind of denser, polished story experience. So that's what story mode is designed as. In this update, obviously the goal for this to be available at launch, for chapter 1 to be at launch, was higher than we hit. I think we put it at 3 million, and the Kickstarter raised $1 million. And in the Medium article, we also updated that we were hoping to, a lot of the things we had, even if we weren't hitting the stretch goals, there were going to be still post-launch features we're working on. So story mode is still one of those as well. But we kind of had to shift our internal team just to be able to use the funds that we had to make sure that we we get the game out and we're not, spreading ourselves too thin. So this mode is most likely being pushed out, kind of out of the first year a little bit later, because we do need to not just focus on the online and the kind of the core, but also other features, right? Like if story mode is not going to be there right at the beginning, you still need to have content, for people who aren't going to become Cake Assault. So that's kind of what this announcement is about is, hey, we're still working on story mode. We still want to do it. But we did have to kind of hit the pause button a little bit on it in order to focus on other features. So with that, we did unfortunately also have to let go some members of our team, especially that were kind of working on this mode. The hope is that, after the game comes out and we're able to have Rivals 2 making money, that we'll be able to get a story mode team back in and ideally, bring our team members back into the fold to build this. But right now, we basically just had to say, hey, we were very excited about this feature. We do think it's a core piece of the product as well. I mentioned in the document that kind of in our early design docs, this is one of our pillars. It's just something that's, we're going to focus on post launch as opposed to continuing to devote resources to it while building the game as well. Because we did work, I would say over a year, maybe a year and a half, Matt, we've had put into story mode so far.
Yep, correct.
So
about a year of development, but 2 years of planning and
tools. And yep, we had Architas building out a lot of kind of the story mode level editing in engine. We had Mason on our team who did all of the cool tile set backgrounds that we're able to kind of stretch across all these different layouts. Kyle on our team was doing all the level design and actually like a lot of the design of how these systems work as well, even like kind of how visual pieces work together too. So yeah, we have a lot of the foundation still for what we want to kind of build out when it comes to platforming levels. But there were still a lot of technical challenges coming into it that we basically were like, to get this out, we would need even more engineering focus when we need a lot of engineers to also get the online out. So that was what led us to the pause, is basically not having enough, kind of programming support to do both at the same time. Yeah. And then the next section is, this is a good one. So this is the workshop character contest, which now the entry date has closed. So we gathered up all the entries that were submitted at their time, that it wrapped up, which was 10 days ago now. So one of the big upcoming dates for those who don't know what this is, back in July of last year, we announced that we're doing another workshop contest. Well, I guess the first one wasn't a contest, but we're doing a workshop contest that is inspired by the 4 characters that got added to Rivals of Aether. So Olympia, Malo, Hodan, and Palm were all, community-made characters that got kind of absorbed not into just Rivals of Aether, but into the universe as well. And that process was super exciting to us and kind of led us to characters that, like we would never have kind of designed on our own and had like really awesome mechanics. A lot of people who, especially people who got into Rivals, in the last couple of years, some of their favorite characters are, part of this 4. So we thought that would be something that'd be super cool for Rivals 2. And obviously Rivals 2 not out yet, and also is not going to have a workshop for, the first, couple years looking like anyway. So we were like, hey, the Rivals 1 workshop is still, super active, super prominent. We have creators who have made tons of characters. So we decided that, hey, let's do another contest, but this time focusing on just one character, one winner who has the opportunity to kind of get the same deal that the other characters got, where the character is going to get brought into our universe and become part of Rivals 2. So the big upcoming dates for this is obviously, the contest closing on the 15th, so that's no longer upcoming. The next one is Genesis. So what we're doing is swapping the roster, the roster for all the workshop tournament to be characters from this contest. So we're going to get to see all of these characters kind of on the stage and how they interact together in a competitive environment. And then behind the scenes, we're also starting on kind of our own, internal judging process. One of the exciting things for us and that that workshop creators won't see is obviously, we have in Rivals 2, we have a lot of characters that are returning, but also we just have like new designs that are sitting at different stages. So we're going to be comparing characters to, not just what we have, but what could be coming down the line. But yeah, we're going to be grading characters on all kinds, design, just how fun they are to play, obviously is a big factor, their lore, their element, all of that stuff is going to feed into the choice that we have to make. So our whole team will be working on it, but on from Rivals 2. But yeah, definitely Trevor and I will be playing a lot of workshop.
Yeah, I'm excited.
Yeah, it should be fun. Because Trevor and I did a lot for going through the first time we did it as well, and it was funny to think back because we all kind of had our favorites, right? Like ones that for each element that we liked, and it really came down to what was kind of like the best fit in a lot of areas. I remember for Air personally, I was a huge fan of Iroh, that character, the wolf, and just coming down to like the element fit. It's like, do you want to do lightning again, or do you want something that fits fits air and brings like a new part of air to it, and also new mechanics as well with the float. So that's just like a little sneak peek in kind of what goes into it. Because even though we each like playing our own, there's like a lot of decisions. Cool. And then that leads us perfectly into Genesis, because that's where the workshop contest will be. The other big thing for Genesis that we mentioned already is Rivals 2 kind of first big tournament, right? Like this is one that it is capped now because we had a 256 cap and it hit it pretty quick. But compared to Heatwave, which was like a raffle and an invitational kind of, this is a chance for, the public to get a chance to play. And also more characters. So we revealed during the Kickstarter that there's going to be 2 new characters. Both of them are the fire element. I think some fans have some ideas on who these characters could be. And I don't know, maybe we will surprise you, We're always ahead. What's
Malo and
what was
Zug.
that?
That's the characters.
Dang it.
I was thinking, what was the penguin's name from
King.
Rivals of Aether?
Was it Kingwin? Or am I thinking?
Penguin. Yeah. And he was in the files for Rivals of Aether, and he made it to Creatures of Aether. But I don't know. Maybe his element is fire now, and because he's so burned. Anyway, maybe we'll surprise you, but definitely, you'll have to wait until Genesis to find out what those characters are going to be.
Yes, some people were asking if we were going to reveal any characters on this stream. So it's a definite no, but yes, I don't think we've explicitly said. We just said they're playable, but yes, tune in Genesis if you're not there as well, because you'll be able to see the reveals that weekend.
Although the Kingwin one does it'd be funny to do a character that is another element, but then they get I don't know, they get betrayed or mad and then they become fire. So then going forward, we can have that forever of the next fire character is, I don't know, so-and-so, but they're angry.
I like this idea. Let's workshop it.
Yeah. Anyway, just one character's lore is that, and then you open the door to like it's just everyone becoming fire eventually. All right, so then we also talk about some of the long-going traditions on the studio and kind of where those are at. So this section, I just kind of go over Rivals Direct, which has been never was meant to become a staple of Aether Studios or Damn for Nacy LLC at the time, but kind of grew year over year up to Rivals Direct 4, which was our craziest one with the puppet show. And then we did, bring it a little less extravagant in 5, but still definitely tried to put on a show, and we used our indie partners to make it as entertaining as we could without having as much of our developer relations or developer time on it. We did announce in this that there is no Rivals Direct for this year.
Yeah, we're
Trevor.
really trying to shift the blame with the goal for the Kickstarter.
Yeah.
People recall there was it $4 million goal?
Right. So that was in there so we could say,
We
it's
tried.
not our fault. No, just kidding.
I think it's on
We
here.
wanted it really bad.
We made the number high enough to something that we thought we wouldn't hit, but
There it is.
yeah.
Rivals Direct 6 is uncanceled. $4 million.
LOL.
Really the I don't know if you could really call. I was gonna say the fans let us down, but I don't know if you could really call them fans. It's $4 million. So there's no Direct 6. That's all I'm trying to say.
Oh my gosh! What if we had hit that? Right? What would Rivals?
That'd been great.
What would Direct 6 have to had to?
We wouldn't be able to live up to it. It'd be impossible.
I know we would have. Whatever we did would have disappointed if we had hit this, because after Direct 3, I think is the real insane one. That George and a lot of people on our team all kind of collaborated on the Let's
Adam.
Play.
Yeah,
Adam. The fact that the stream won the net code or the Let's Play Rivals 1 match, when in any of our test runs we didn't even get close. And then the stream actually won the match. That was insane. Anyway, yeah, I don't know. If we hit that goal, I have no idea what we would have done. We probably would have just been stressed out of our minds trying to figure out how to meet the expectations of fans.
People are
so
saying
we did
skip
it.
the 6th onto the 7th. So we'll think about it. I also see Brian in chat from Off Brand. He said if you hit that goal, we probably would have helped produce it. So
There it is.
hi, thanks for being here.
Yeah, that actually that would have helped, because I don't know what we were thinking. I go back to my Manual Cinema that did the publish shows, my sister's company in Chicago. I've gone back and been like, hey, we need it even better this time. What ideas do you have? But there is no Direct.
Yeah.
So
I'm past that onto the PC launch on the page.
Yeah, please don't. March 31st, I assume that we'll still have a lot of people being like, hey, Dan, what's going on? But we are announcing that there's no Direct this year. The other big thing too is obviously we're working towards a Q4 launch for Rivals 2. So yeah, we're also trying to make sure that all of our planning is around that, since April is much before is not in Q4, it turns out. It's earlier in the year. So the other big long-standing thing we wanted to update people on was all the spinoffs. So I'll go through this real quick, but obviously back in 2020, which was Rivals Direct 2, was where we really started, opening the world of Aether up. And I mentioned here that it was very much like a strategic and kind of a tactful choice, in that we wanted to not only just expand the world, but we also wanted to do things that Rivals of Aether couldn't do. So, getting a game that was mobile first in creatures, telling stories for a single character instead of just a whole, a big roster with Tales of Aether. So the first Tales of Aether comic we did was focused on just kind of Claren's backstory and expanding that from the trailer. And then Dungeons was, it's playing a game where it wasn't as Twitch based, so something turn based where you could play it at your own speed, and also just introducing new protagonists was a big goal for us. So we out the gate we wanted, rather than doing a game where say Eliana and Zetterburn, and you could make a game where the characters were coming from rivals. We wanted to have newer characters that had their own personalities and were brought into the world. So in all of those ways, these games are really important to us in that we're competing against games like Super Smash Brothers and Street Fighter and Tekken, and these games that have decades now of characters and lore, and then games like Smash and Nickelodeon and Multiverses. Those are pooling from all kinds of IPs, right? So those are even more different worlds that are pooling in. So these games kind of give us a chance to be pooling from different areas as well, right? Everyone's going to have their favorite character from Dungeons, or their favorite character from Tales of Aether, that could potentially make their way into Rivals 2. Even like NPCs from Dungeons, I saw people requesting the Scoop, who is like the deepest cut
That's
character,
a hilarious
I would
character to
say.
request, honestly. He's
Yeah.
never shown on screen.
Yeah, and being like, that should be the next character in Rivals 2. I just think that's like, just thinking about that's hilarious. So yeah, that to us is kind of like the biggest appeal of the spinoffs. Obviously too, we go kind of into the financials as well, in that for us, none of these games in themselves, were like profitable in that, earn back their budget plus. But there are a lot smaller risks too than like Rivals or Rivals 2. So they definitely added value on those front. But we also say we kind of explain why you haven't seen any new spin-offs announced, since we kind of blew open the door in 2020. We were basically focused on wrapping all of those up and getting everything kind of out, so then we could put our 100% of our focus on Rivals 2. So that's kind of how it wraps up, is saying, hey, now we're moving to a studio. Right now we're like 90% on Rivals 2, because we're still doing Dungeons bug fixes. We still have builds for Dungeons going out, and we're still doing Rivals of Aether updates as well. Geek and Yossi on our team, doing a lot of the work on Rivals of Aether. But by the end of this year, we anticipate to be, 100% of the studio will be on Rivals 2. Which goes into the PC launch. That is our goal. So 2024, which is crazy to me, because that is what back in 2021 we had our trailer, right? What was the what?
Which
When
trailer?
did we do? Or was 2022?
Announcement
I don't know.
trailer.
Anyway, when was the one with Rano and Zetterburn? When was the?
Pretty sure it's
puppet
Direct
show?
3.
It was the
No.
puppet show. So yeah, it was 2021, I think.
Or 22. Anyway, we said 2024, and that is still what we're working towards. So the big thing for us is like we're focused on Steam. That is our first platform that we're hitting. Going to make sure that game is, or that the launch is as good as we can get it. Obviously, we'll have a lot of testing from all of the Kickstarter betas as well. So all of our fans are kind of going to know where it's at, and how it's playing, and where the features are going to be at for launch. So that's exciting for us, is to get people in and get more feedback on it. The biggest thing, the two things that I mentioned here that we're most excited about: gameplay. That's Trevor's expertise. He is the gameplay lead on Rivals 2. But as someone who started all of this because I love platform fighters, I just play Rivals 2 now. I literally don't play any other platform fighter unless I'm like looking to see how things work. Because even Rivals now, like I miss all the buttons. Like I'm like, I can't grab, I can't do special getup, I can't do this, I can't do that. So yeah, we're very bullish on the gameplay and where that's at. I think it feels great, and I think as we, reveal more stuff, there's even, more characters and fun mechanics to that we will get before launch. And then the second thing that we really believe in is kind of how we're going to grow this together with the community, and with our team. So one of the things that stresses me out, when I just think of our development is like now we're uh, competing against rivals of Ether, right? Which I never thought would be a stressful idea. But when I just go back to test certain things and I open the game, it's kind of insane how feature rich Rivals became over, the 9 years that it's been out, right? Like even just opening up the game and going into the menus, there's so much stuff in there. Even the single player, which I think, a lot of is like one of the feedback that we got. That's something that we definitely wanted to improve upon going into Rivals 2. There's like a lot of stuff in there, story mode, abyss mode, and tetherball, for mode that's fun with friends. So the thing that gives me confidence here is kind of if you look at Rivals of Ether in 2015 to now, just kind of not just the improvements in like the VFX getting better, the sound effects getting better, animations being redone. Elian went in and we redid Zetterburn, we redid Crag, updated a lot of tax, all of that quality, but also just like the amount of features that got added. That's really exciting, and that's what we plan to do in Rivals 2 as well, right? We want to have a really strong foundation, a really good launch in terms of the gameplay, exciting people, and then expand it from there. And then the last one is the future plans. So this was perfect way to go into the questions because this is what people are most excited about. Where's Rivals 2 going to head from there? We talk about how the foundation is laid out for crossplay, and cross progression if we do, when we do eventually come to consoles. And that's because kind of the online being different, the server base, as I mentioned, but also just using another service for all of our backend. So right now we're building the game on PlayFab, which is Microsoft, like Azure servers, kind of like backend system to manage users and things like that. That allows us to go, not just on Steam, but you can use the same user account on other platforms. And that's going to be massive because I think a lot of people, especially with the games that aren't the biggest titans, not having to fracture your player base is really beneficial, right? In a fighting game, they're more fun the more people are playing. So if you can get all your players in the same queues, that's huge. And then just kind of we're really excited about the opportunities, in the scenario where the game is successful and we have, a healthy player base, playing and playing the game online. Just kind of the different areas we could expand. Obviously, story is one of the ones we want to bring back, but we also would love to do other gameplay features. And I also mentioned workshop in the article as well. That's something that we haven't really devoted developer resources to too much yet, other than Trevor made sure to set up the characters in a way that it could theoretically be possible, right? But it is going to be a lot of work. It's not just going to be a lot of work for us either. It's going to be a lot of work for creators too, because the characters are a lot more involved. 3D models, skeletons, hitboxes, all of that. It's going to be more work, but I think it could also make some awesome creations. So that's something we really want to do, but we're not going to really have a timeline for that until the core game's in a good spot. And I think, was there anything else that is the article?
Let me scroll down. I think that's it.
Sweet.
Cool. Yeah. So thank you everyone for sticking around. We just think it's important to be like really upfront with what we're doing and give everyone a big update because there's a lot going on at the studio. So now you guys know a little bit like what's going on behind the scenes. And I think right before this, we talked about doing Discord questions first and then live chat. But I think I want to flip that just because the Discord questions we can answer at any time. I have them there. They're in their own channel. So I can go back to them. But people who are here right now, we can answer your questions in that way. we don't miss it.
Give us your questions now.
Yeah, so unleash the
Yeah.
questions. At the very end of the stream, too, by the way, I saw there was a Twitch ABSA giveaway going on that we definitely started on purpose. We'll draw that at